In English, on page number 11, I take refuge in the Guru.
I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. From now till my enlightenment, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And
By the merit gained in this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings never be separated from joy or bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, feel pious attachment and anger. This ground allowed to be perfumed, strewn with flowers. Mount Meru, encircled by the four continents, surmounted by the sun and the moon, I visualize this Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy the pure land.
오야. 네, 아까 그 정말로 쇼울처럼 자식들이시기요, 지라.
Good morning to you all. Thank you for coming. It's a great pleasure to see you both here in person and online.
오늘 땅아도 맡은 로마던지 몸자가 되는지.
So we're going to continue our practice. That is, we're going to read and practice meditation of recitation of Aryan Tara.
다 남지 곰세트 셈라 곰리지 dom지리 땅아도 또 곰리지 또 미코치 곰지도 치라 삼삼에 빠지는 이 코너즈 진데 삼로 치던 거 곰세트 또 데르지 차요 말이나 되지나 리슴라 아주 능알වත් 아수 듣고 그랬지 톨로 진짜 삼기면지는 토고 그랬네 영 리슴이 야게 땅알라 데르지 판토고 말 셈라 지지 땅알라.
So, if I may, I would like to again remind you about meditation in the simplest term, which means to get familiarized with or acquaintance with or master the spiritual point of the view of the training, the technique of the teaching, and then upload it onto your very stream of or continuation of your mental consciousness, then get truly familiar with it, master with it. master that very teaching. So that is we call the meditation. And so, well, here in the, what I find, or in general, what we can see is that people apply this very notion of meditation quite broadly and to some extent even randomly, because just close eyes and sit quietly and do nothing, as if that is can say, and it has some good value, good quality. Why? Because the mind sit down and motionless, and where you definitely can get the benefits. That is, you can rest your body and you can restore your mental energy, and of course, from this point of view, and that form of meditation do have some good use. However, here we are talking about Buddhist spirituality, which means that to improve and to advance your spiritual awareness and your understanding and working toward the enlightenment. For this purpose, this kind of meditation and then would not help you to improve or achieve your goal of a spiritual realization.
어ten저다 sem고 곰jarso sem낭 samtang사테라 고조고 데스 고조고 삼노땅요르소네 셈드 다 샴바땅 형지 ngor para semngo ti ngo pa yertang ngo pa yerchini sam노땅 치지 아니 셈지 닐루 ngo마테 마딱바땅 근데 동바 랑지 셈지 랑지 강에 방고 때 방에 셈비고는 곰작당 치지 름바는 이용 거르시.
So if we wanted to take one more step forward to understand what is the Buddhist meditation, how it connects to or associated with the Buddhist meditation, a unique Buddhist meditation as a spiritual realization or path that leads to the spiritual realization. That is to say, here, suppose you want to improve your practice of kindness and compassion. So kindness, compassion, how you transform yourself, how you improve, advance this unique, remarkable spiritual quality, extraordinary spiritual power, that is. So you have to recognize, identify the unique features of kindness and compassion. And then you need to take it, that very essence or the nature or the characteristic of kindness, compassion, then uploading or insert, kind of taking upon to your very own mind, and that's the continuation or the state of your mind successfully transform into that very spiritual quality, which is here we are talking about kindness and compassion. So that's the form of meditation. This form of meditation, you can say the meditation of transforming the mind. And the other the meditation is the meditation you through the unique the technique or the set of technique or the view analytical the methodology, and so you examine the very nature of your own mind or your consciousness, if you will. So you put yourself on the process of this very critical and careful analysis about the nature or examination of your nature of your mind, and then take yourself to the point where you really understood the ultimate nature of the mind, and then you maintain and then nourishing that state of awareness or realization, and then that's the second form of meditation. And which of course is this form of meditation is mainly aimed to to increasing and advance your spiritual realization in terms of the ultimate nature of understanding of the nature of a reality. But the formal one, like kindness, compassion, is aimed to help you transform yourself, the very mind of yourself, from sort of ordinary the mental state into the truly spiritual and purely kind and compassionate state of mind.
당 알아서 단도 보면 저기도 알아서 지 로마 공고 지 로마 공고 지 로마 롱올라 파주니 지 로미 남바로도 샤라지네 데이트지 그들이 오즈트네니 다리 그것도 담론데 컨사칼라 카비네트 심지 탐지 그 기나차 파버 당성근나차 좀비다 심지 등을 탐지 먼저 받습니다. 다 참여지 나지 된데 공고를 대화동 담바도 등을 타와도 연어 쳤더니 일단 다위도 용래 내버 저송 대삼내는 거 다른 도에 다른 거 좀 줘야 돼.
So now let's do our very self onto the actual spot of the experiments of the practice of the meditation itself. That is, let's practice Aryantara mantra recitation, and which is a form of meditation. Here, in this meditation, which it first go and internally and to have the vivid image of Aryantara in your mind, and then so once you get the sense of the very presence and of Aryantara and in your state of being, the mind, in the state of your mind, and mentally, and then of course this you have to bring into your mind, which is kind of you making that happen. Okay, you are making and to make it actualize this through this mental action. So you're transforming your glorious external and the body of Aryantara and the body that eliminates the light, eliminate the elimination of the sacred body, and then so it becomes present in such a state of sacred being, and then so at that point, then you think about the sufferings of all sentient beings in general, and particularly think about the pandemic, which is still the troubles and the world and everywhere in the world. And then, of course, you can also take like a four immeasurable thoughts as the may all sentient being and free from suffering and causes of suffering, may all sentient being and be enjoyed with the happiness and the causes of happiness, so, and then so on and so forth. So then you can focus on that glorious and separated the present sense of the presence of Aryantara, and then continue your presentation.
Yeah.
See the mantra on page number 74.
So ye ge jala randa Dare de dare de re so dare de da re so re so dare de re so dare de dare 야, 그 왔다 같은 거 토트 말로거라. 같은 것도 합반년 벌라 버샤지. 그린처럼. 냠슬랑와 라라 버샤지. 시와는 전기 등을 당 등을 렌정 랑기 내가 잔라 동와 가오 냠바 테터 삼바 바시키 고니 테터 조르위 콤바랍트 지르위 지르위치 동른라 녜신지바 마카웨시로스 당보도 시트니 니와텔라 뉴 컨스총 조프샤 시와나 리슴기 땅트 데드 컨체 정 갱은 레도데 값스셰바 터 상습 드피 조스 열 샤오 니와 뉴 소통 dombr송 시위 랑기 켈랑위 dom바슴기 지와랑 담츠그남 셰트르트 허르셰피 로종위 담츠그남 소통 디데 송르 샤오 시텔로즈마.
And now please go to your copy translation, page 99. And here it says, train first in the easier practices. If you feel that it is difficult to take on the miseries of others and go and to give away your own happiness and the merits, recall that at the present you are training in these practices only on a mental level. When due to acquaintance and you have gained the progress, actually engaging in giving and taking will not be difficult. Whichever occurs, be patient with both. Whether happiness or suffering befalls the body and mind, as we explained in the context of transforming advanced conditions into the path, you should transform it into a factor conducive to accomplish enlightenment.
어디서다 당보들 냠슬랑월 라버샤즈 자 냠슬뇽월 라버샤즈 돈디다니 소소질라 니 냠뇽 땅지고네니 롭종지고레 시다 고아자 많이 봐 고이도데 삼비돈도 소소 곰진 수수 셈나 뇽아 톰바지니 냠슬랑아이나 전이 전기 등 땅들레마 대지도 들리지나 아니다 전기 등 소소질라스라 랑 렌트바 소소 개와 전기 등라 파 똥트바 인디가네 삼로도 양지 땅네 겐슨다 조다 삼로 땅나 베통는 삼로 마 땅트와이나 땅그 삼자때 셈 콤비 톱트 로송이나 아니 그런 그 전기 등 땅트 소소 땅들 렘바 땅 소소 대와지 땅와라 때 가와 까츠요 말에 빈 사당 알아서 소소랑니 그 셈땅라 하증 셈 니위 메치 그 쳇 소소 리소롱 쪽간 롱 레땅고나 땅트와 나즈 셈진 탐진 로아 탐질라 때 그 양지 곰트와이나 때 가요 말에 다 땅보티 도도 시고
So the first advice or pieces of advice or teaching, and which we just read, essentially is saying that we have to take undertaking the practice, the training, and the trainings in accordance to our level of understanding or acceptance or our capacity. So the form of or type of the practice that you're going to engage in adopting has to be suitable for feeding in your mental capacity in terms of to execute or physically implementing that very idea. So that requires you have to be honest to your own experience, right? And essentially, the process is like this. So first of all, you have to dedicate yourself to the first phase of this practice, the spiritual realization. That is to hearing, meaning to learning. So you have to dedicate yourself to the process of learning by hearing, taking course or reading, and so essentially just to collect the data, the information, and the accurate knowledge, the adequate knowledge. Once you gain that, right, and then you need to put it, move to the second phrase, that is to contemplating or to comprehend and to reach the comprehension of the very knowledge you have collected. And that requires you to analyze, to examine the validity, the applicable city and the applicable nature of that very information. So once you overcome get yourself to the point where you have no doubts, right? You're clear, and you know you gain the certainty, and you know what is you're going to undertaking, meaning that bring to the third phase, that is the meditation itself. So meditation here is the very implementation of that very teaching. So that is a state of transforming the knowledge, the concepts you have adopted. So let's say, for example, to give your happiness to others and take the sufferings or miseries of others from others. So this practice, of course, you have to first of all clearly understanding the value, the reason, and the arguments, and so the philosophical discourse about why, and this is so critical and very beneficial and powerful, and to engage in or undertaking such a radical practice, such as like Donglen, so giving and all you have to others, and taking all others the sufferings that others are experiencing, the giving the happiness that you appreciate, and the taking the miseries from others, and so you would you have develop a clear understanding and truly see the beauty of this practice, and then you know the reason, and you see the benefits, and you know how to skillfully and correctly implement and this very critical and radical sort of practice. Then it will not as hard as at the beginning, when you at the phase at the first phase that during the time of collecting the knowledge about this practice, right? Or during the time of contemplating, examining, investigating the validity, the important values of this teaching. So then of course, when you really truly see the reason and you are confusion free and doubt free, and then you would find that rather not as hard as you thought at the beginning. This gives you a perfect example, and it tells it truly that will happen. But for example, when we doing something, right? In general, for example, that thing is up onto in responded to someone who is very close to our heart, right? Our most significant and very beloved one. If anyone we in our mind we taken them, consider them, and as our most significant one and very dear to our heart, and we are very much in love with them, then we know, and so upon to their request, his request, and so even not necessarily always request, you know that thing, if you do, definitely make them and very happy, and also and free them from miseries, you would undertaking and anything you could with your full capacity to do so and to complete the task itself. Why we have such energy, such a determination, and so willing to do so? That is because of this sense of closeness and dear to our heart, and very important for us. They made this difference. So therefore, all we need is just transform this very simple, basic, and natural attitude from our beloved ones through the training, the process of training, and then taking view, see all others just like equally like the one at this point we consider is very dear to us and very close to ourselves.
다 니와티 가르치고서 뉴 콘소버셔 리슴 것도 베네 잔둔식 송어서 아니 맞아 강을 요르지 리슴 이기 땅라 강을 용거를 샘낭라 아니 지 파쇼고 샘직 돈식 소 샘직 감담이와 만들어 수 섬들만 탐바던 그 땅내네 샘그 땅라 강을 땅아도 땅 지존나네네 디오르와 샘 섬로만 탐비고는 요라 친구 되지 아니 소소 깔리 잡네 리 미스 소 리 강을 강을와 땅 또와 땅 조금라 속에 강을 망부 용거지 용어에는 정말람도 요르샤바 상츠 남을 치문도 소번데 지어때 양을람도 열세데 강을 총총 때라 때니 소소고 지와 하마서 상주 득바 침부 방보 저 방보즈 바 딱송 삼데 뜻절고 세다 니와 침부즈 요나라 상주 도만 번을 레 니와 침부서 탐전이 섬지기 돈도 잼픽 삼로 띠 끊어 침부 띠 떡기 등을 총총 들거네 지금 사자로 침부 초송 삼데 삼로동 타와이나 아니 패도신 보여 스타트 장알람도 쪽선도 그래서 소주 냠는 거 쪽선도 두고 그래서 된자다 네 저동 알아서다 담치 돈바스면서 상하기 돈바 상스도 소도 돈바 소소가 당하고 킬렌지니 심지 상상상상지 섬게 발라 섬돈을 심지 담지기 돈 등이 배 가리는 지게서 킬렌이오로 킬렌 담차때 망가워지네 소소 속라 그나야 만도 송샤 some in some logo you that's
the second advice here says whichever occurs be patient with the both. The essential message here is that when we undertake the enterprise of the bodhicitta, the training of the mind is bodhicitta, and then of course we will naturally have to expect, and to going to experience various difficulties and challenges, setback, and many hardship. For example, at the physical level. As far as the bodies are concerned, you have to, and you will experience the hard experiences, and such as fatigue and tired, and then the challenged, on and so forth. So so that means it would be always the simple and the easy and pleasant, but rather can be at the body level and very much it costs you a lot of hardship. And at the mental level, okay, so it's not just on the occurred physical level. At the mental level, you also might find that while you are pursuing and help others and to achieve help to achieve your the goal of and help others, and you find that due to the different the predispositions, individuals and predispositions or the capacity and the individuals in a special unique interest and their attitude and their personal the personality and so their kind of habits. You might find that or their sense of the view and understand about the certain thing, and so they might, instead of appreciate it, thank you, they would challenge you and disagree with you, even against oppose what you say or what you try to do, which of course is the most likely would happen. So therefore, at the mental level, you might also have to deal with the challenges and a lot of challenges, such as like we talked about the disagreements, opposition, and even against the physically. So whichever the things occur, and in the as the practitioner, so like we have learned before, so when you encounter such a or run into such a situation, and either physically or mentally or both, and being challenged, then you must skillfully take that very setback, right? That very obstacle and challenges, like we learned before, transform that negative condition or challenge it in a difficult conditions into the part of, or take it as the part of the Dharma practice, right? And then by thinking, for example, and now you can feel physically challenged, you're tired, right? You're hungry, you're thirsty, and you feel, you experience a strong fatigue, and mentally, you also feel that others now it's been mean and to you, and what they are not the acceptance, the some kind of yes strongly oppose what you do. At that point, when you experience such challenges, and then you must think, oh, and I do have these experiences and been challenged, and then now this outcome, right, which I'm experiencing, and in fact is the outcomes of, is the result of my previous life with a negative karma, right? And now through this little events, just like people and through the experience of tiring and thirsty, hungry, and so on and so forth with at the body level, and then mentally kind of stressed and be challenged and disappointed, and then those kind of little negative experiences, you're thinking this is actually it's great, because now, and all my bad experience, negative experience is in result is the consequence of what I have done negatively in my previous lifetime or previously. So now with this minor, such as thirsty, hungry, and fatigue or tiredness, and mentally be challenged, or being blamed, and so on and so forth. And now I am actually purifying the very negative karma I have ever committed in the previous lifetime. So by thinking of this, then you actually find that those physical hardship and the mental challenges now is beneficial instead of they are bad and they are kind of negative. It's negative thing. In fact, it's turned into the something that has a very higher spiritual value. So this is also in different way we call that turned the negative condition as a friendly supportive resources. So in other words, by thinking this way or by view the difficult challenges with such a spiritual enlightened or skill enlightened attitude, and then you actually made a very negative condition and turn it to a very friendly and rich resources for you. So another point in this verse also that we need to understand is as a trainee or the practitioner, so in order to accomplish successfully achieve our goal, and we have to undertake in some kind of samaya, which means is the commitment, right? And then so in general, and to ensure that we will stick on, or we will focus on the very process of the practice, and until we reach the goal. And so that's the commitments. And at the same time, also, and here the text reminds us that while you are trying to achieve your the highest the goals of your training, you also needed to from time to time remind yourself about the three precepts you undertaking, meaning that one way or another at some point you have to receive or to asking someone to bestow the three the precepts. So first precept is the precepts is for the individual and for the purpose of individual liberation, and the second is like the bodhicitta or the precepts and related to associated with the practice of bodhicitta, and then the third is the precepts or the pledge and that you made, which is associated with the Vajrayana practice. So yes, from time to time you have to reflect upon to remind yourself about the precepts that you have ever taken or someone to bestow upon you, and to some extent, or if it's necessary, you have to keep it even that the cost of your life.
그래. 대사당 아주 직접 삼삼한 동는지에서 파쇼고 능력 당도 나가서 능력 정말 소소강라 랑네 소소 용권을 삼로 때려 걸고 말해. 배는 미치겠다 나네. 또 다오나 기텔라 칼라타잖아. 티지 그런 거 이제 또 능력 저런 거 쓰라 랑자 봐요. 랑제 엔 저런 거사 파 또 소소고 또 긴던 상근능네다 파지 당하러 당아 띠 데월 때네 그게 능력도 용 조세. 나 미치겠다 나 강가 틀리 로통로 로산득사 마시 톰 다우즈기나 결혼 때라 ngak고네 장모진 로통도 차정도 랍자가이나 결혼 ngak도 베조 당아리 파쇼티긴 로통 차정 시니 강가도 센로 진짜 이 능력도 센자 능력도 초롱 땅도 쓰를 렘바. 그러나 미지 치난도 큰 로기요나 람성 교롱 디나 좀 진리 랑네 치카스라 랑자가이나 미티 치능기 능가들이 소타리 타와 종어를 교롱 다즈보 칼리겸 디스카트마토 요마 텐차 티 르오텔라 테니 janji tonto 교롱 레 땅웨 네 땅 소소런 거 tonto 아노 티땅나 바탐 링어 롱수 tonto 페데 레 땅다월 다 janji tonto 가 땅 타고요 말텐다 존지 쳔모나 다 냐와 상와 도알라 스파 네즈오페 작당 정위 능라 텐디치니 신앙나 칼리갸고르테나 테코 소소런 거 tonto 텐딜라 강인 삼고 말 janji tonto 텐디치고즈나 미츠마 다 할레고르스 텐디치 조 janji 쳔 텔라 텐니 그 망보 득바 망보 땅도 그래 비나 저는 미치 소토살라 소토 땅게 로고나 텔라다 소토 땅에 저는 저것 땅나 되거스나 지나 어초 가가지는 저것 땅는 지그리스 그래서 저런 안에 저왕아마 득바 망보 요tin 데우트 단다 저는 쟁기 돈 칼리티 잡도 되긴 득바 딱거스나 저는 가가 땅는 지고 그러하지 어쩐지 치면 넣던데 배견에 지어버리지
So let me make the very points bit clear, or see whether I can make it provide you more clarification in terms of how to practice Donglen, giving and taking. So generally speaking, when you upon here and giving your happiness to other, and then take the miseries and the hardship of others. And it seems that you've been asked too much, right? Or it is a way harder to do. So let me tell you, and we got to make sure we're not mistaking, right? There's very important teaching of the Donglan, and the giving and the taking. Giving and taking is not to say that you have to do something that like physically sort of experienced and other person's suffering, right? And make that very suffering that experienced by somebody else, and now you become the one who sort of the sufferer who is suffering now, right? Because you are practicing the taking, right? Which is not the case. So the very essence of the giving and taking practice, they can be carried out very skillfully in various occasions, or according to the situations, the scenario is not a kind of restricted to a very narrow and area, or it shouldn't be interpreted very narrowly. I give you a few examples. You will see how the Donglan of giving and taking can be implemented. Let's say, and so you are walking through the street, and find someone who's miserable, right? Who surely looks very hungry and maybe suffered, haven't eaten. So the suffering is that person's the very misery that person experiences is hunger, or is hungry. So what do you do, right? So, and then upon and examine or assess the situation, you are affordable to buy a sandwich, right? Or buy a meal and then bring to that person. So you can just go and purchase a meal or buy a sandwich and bring and then give it to that person. So at that point, what did happen between you and the person? Obviously, you not experienced the very hungry of that person, right? You did not, and you are not in the while when you decide upon to hear that person, seeing that person hungry, you not experience hungry yourself. Then you walk to the store, you purchase a restaurant, you purchase sandwich or the meal, and you of course it's not hungry, experiences hungry of that person, and then you brought the milk, give to that person. So through this entire process, you are not experiencing the very suffering that person is undertaking or is experiencing, right? And now you give the food and feed that person. See, he or she or they immediately be able to free from the suffering of hungry. So that's how you see the giving. You giving the money and you possess, right? And your possession, and you give it put it the time, and you give it your energy, and so you give it dedicate your resources, and which is available, applicable, capable to use it, and then so that's the dongwa, meaning that's the giving, and the taken is by the means of feed him, you remove him.
It's 11 o'clock.
Suffering. That's very suffering that person is experiencing from them, him or her. So that's how it happens. And another simple example is that so suppose somebody got lost in the middle, in the intersection, in the middle of the town or somewhere in the street, right? And you are the one who happen to see that, meet that person, and give him or her the direction. Daily tell a person or them where to go. So you're not taking the suffering of that person's anxiety, stress, right, and a sense of loss, but it's simply and you're not experiencing. However, you took in that person's you give them the correct information, the knowledge you have, and then so that's the giving, and the taking is you. By giving what you have, you know for sure, and then you free that person from the suffering of confusion. So that's also applied to the in the field of knowledge or the education. That you teach someone who is confused, who is suffered due to the lack of a set of skill or knowledge. So now you go and teach and help him or them to adopt and to master the sets of skills. You're not really experiencing that person's and lack of the sufferings due to the lack of the skill, right? Such as stress and a sense of the hopeless. But because you gave it the skills you have, knowledge you have, and then you ultimately free the beings from the suffering or miseries themselves. So, and then lastly, for example, you are the one who know how to swimming, and you're a good swimmer, and so you just run in a situation, you see somebody was drawn into the river. At that point, and you know you are capable, and you can do it, and so just jump into the water without a question, and then save the person's life. So this is the thing, you see, you're not drawn yourself. That person is being carried away by the water, who is experiencing a tremendous suffering and fear and struggling. But you, as a skilled swimmer and is capable person, so and then you jump in and save his life and free him or her them from the sufferings of this drawn situation. So these are the examples of how to practice giving and taking skillfully, or donglen and skillfully. In fact, the Chanchideva said in his text, the Bodhisattva, the Bodhisattva, the way of life, Bodhicitta Aryatara, says that the ordinary sentient beings, and we in fact do working very, very hard and dedicate ourselves fully in order to achieve free ourselves from the sufferings and try to make it happy. The things are happy or pleasant for ourselves. We sort of doing this taking and giving, but merely focus on ourselves. What we're taking is we're taking all the hardship, right? And so we make a tremendous effort with our body, and so we carefully and tirelessly apply whatever the verbal skills, the communication skills we have verbally, and try to take the whatever the inconvenience or the difficulties and as mentally we also undertaking and all kinds of stress and all kinds of fears, sufferings and pain. But all these things you're taking, the miseries you're taking, is just for the sake of your individual self, right? And so that's how you caused it, like in the being born in the hell. So those beings who are in the hell will try whatever they can, and it doesn't matter how hard they're trying, what they're trying to do. And if you examine the very nature, the purpose of their physical body, and then the hardship they experience in the physical body, and verbally and mentally, all they want to achieve is one thing: that to free themselves and from the sufferings. But there's no any other benefits. However, as trainees of this particular the spiritual path and teaching, we know that we are going to undertaking all these things, and if we will be able to transform and change our shift our attitude by focus on to achieve our own goal, right? That is give whatever we have to ourselves, right? And taking whatever we want to be sort of possessing, to switch this basic attitude to others, right? And in the kind of thinking, now I do whatever I can, right? And to free others from suffering, and I taking upon to me and the inconvenience and or the all kinds of pains and sufferings, and in order to fulfill others. So this is the way, and I can purify my negative karma and increasing my spiritual realization and advance my realizations. So if you think this way, you know that you will get inspired, and you will experience a strong and spiritual joy and ecstasy. Why? Because by transforming your attitude, and you are no longer focused on some kind of a very small value, that's the individual benefits, but rather you see that whatever you're doing is for the sake of all others. So that's giving you the great joy.
네, 다 가왔음로 사버샤즈니. 다 가왔음부터 네, 자주가 되니 좋아들려나 가만히 있어.
So now we have this called the guide book at the cost of your life. So maybe we just leave it here today, and I'd like to use the rest of the time to take the questions.
Okay.
Oh, one daddy. Awesome. Did more of it.
Did all now. The lome. 다 좋아하면은 맞든 도 가왔으면 나쁘셔야 돼. 가만 주스 봐.
Yeah. If you have no questions, maybe I'm going to continue to read the next paragraph.
Okay. 가왔으면 나쁘셔야 돼. 시 당부 녀모 님부 땡까지. 버트 독가 담으러니 담을 인줄까지 가위 녀몽이 신성 님 준비 고니에니 도포 찰람베파 벨 버트데 yin 디 인틀 또 샤오즈네 어떻듯이 그것도 쳤던가니 뒤지기 로던가 로 차스너지
No.
뒤지기 로잖아
您这样的这种问题会刚才yeah. Guide both, and I apologize, I didn't read this before. Let's say, yeah, the trend in the three difficulties. I think I didn't read the paragraph before that. Guide both at the cost of your life. The pledge or the natural commitment of the three vows you have taken, and in particular, the commitment of mind training explained above should be guided even at the cost of your life. Now, the train in the three difficulties. In the first place, it is hard to remember the remedies for the disturbing emotions. Secondly, it is difficult to oppose them. And thirdly, it is difficult to cut their continuity. Therefore, recognizing the disturbing emotions and mindful of their disadvantages make effort through various means to dispel them and put an end to the sequence.
다 벤춘진 지나 베나 차도라 베잖아. 차도세드 지금 셈근한데 셈드가지로. 차도세드 지사가와 중국의 소소그 라님 강성지라 푼순 속바요나 소소텔라 마가와지네 에네 셈고토네 마가와지네 셈마킬와 용지네 테네 텔라테네다 르비 지 카탕안로 당한테 그 용고. 대자 차도고 님보 가르르즈네 지스이랑 어때 코텐데 요거 중사 빼빠고 요거를 푼순 속바리 삼로 당타와이나 소수질라다나 차도치니 마킬로데 용지 파도 돈이 띠고는 파속들라 요거 중에서 셈나 수도 가와지로 빼 요거를 텐데 푼순 속바리즈네 응아라나 텔라 사고 셈데 삼동이나 다 요거 된자당 아주 님보 템버까지네 아주 차도치 용어서 같은 때라 띠 님보 지스이랑 데 셈나 전주배 하정 깔리고 요래 아주 차도 응으로도 식세소나 what kati ota sungulcha ko chadota chewa mar yoko mar tidang jisi yang chigore samne samlo to khora inara dokka war khati tela ane chadu ko nyembo ti khati tela jisi yang jine nyembo to pa dongju kali khor kan jang azu ta kombo ko ngon to jine niwalo dango mar te chigris tamar ne jinchul ka wa tamar te pe jisi yang lamson te dongni chadu ko nyembo ngo te nyembo ro tenji lamson chadu to meazo te kalekhapo yoris te chang ano zo jintni kawasam de kalekhapo ta pen thado ta shedang yor no chag yor te chama te sem du chamang yora te chama pel tanda kwelen sa te thado pelen te pe nyomo do jorsena ta nyomo ngesin jang te sa ta soso jintni thado kyong zo soso na janchi phansu choga zo soso sem na makel chu yonguna ta te regam de te ngi samlo tang de ko mar de thado ta ngin jing goris ngesin thowaina 요모트 미신 신토즈나 티 예무기 담비고네 아니 독불지 저거한테 저거스 티 순나 티 예무기 텐티지나 타도지나 가라 요르지 타도지나 수술람 손토왔다나 타도지나 소소랑 이기부 용고 말이 마가 지내지잖아 전라 기어르지 잠바텔라 타도 장기 타도 지금 하고 손에 잠바텔 소술 마가 착그래 계속 소소 남콩도 잡고도 저기 남미지나라 어때 코티 타도지나 코 파속티 하고 남겼다 지금 제일 때는 호도 파쇼트 마가처럼 먹는 다처럼 어딘서 띠 예무 때문에 어디 지금 지세랑지나 소소sem나 가와킹을 가와키나 파쇼텔라 소소동 저거 파쇼텔랑진 그 소소 남진년요 띠강라트 타뇨 쪽포착해 돼 띠차다 안에 뭐바도 때문에 동거레스 람소 타도다 메아조 거레스 띠 배파 진먼트바 진틀 맞트 샤워드네 어때 진 matani tambati tpa yin matani chongchini de niwa tun atuk gore sta sombe tada thadola sire da shedang ina den do chhe na re oda zu samala phongti jar gor segor ta ketang kali khagor segin wa teng on kali khagor wa tang razo sosu nyam sin wa ta ngando na soso ro ni ka go yo sem dikcha ngon dikir sasona be kali khagor ngon majir ko ngisin twaina des 가가라 펜토지 용도도 배드 원득을 사서나 공오로디 갈래 호치 건도 같아. 따뜻한 알아서 지금 용의 정도 두고 나오는 나로는 냠용 거네 샴냥지 다 상치 샘세 등 하는 거다 라말레 TV 삼비 거니 데르즈레 삼 땡고 마동알레 용아치 고요. 다 노치 셔당 타도조 나랑라베 냠스 용고요니 시기요로 때 나랑 소라트 제기와 시기월 때나 치수됐단다. 갑자기 갈래 하고로 왔다는 디난 무슨 것도 나오지랬어.
Okay, now we have some real life lessons here. And let me give you examples of what the here says about the training in the three difficulties. So obviously the three difficulties, the difficulties just like we have heard, that is, first of all, as a practitioner, so we have our first difficulties and our challenges is harder to remember the remedies. And then the second difficulty is that it's harder to oppose the things which make us misery difficult. It's hard to oppose them. And then lastly, thirdly, it's also difficult to cut their continuity, and that's a very difficult experience, the continuity of the miseries. Rather, it causes of misery, let's say. I give you an example, it's a very practical example, and that is, let's say, jealousy. That's his experience, and we probably at some point, and we know and what the jealousy does, and how it feels, and how it looks like, right? And we are probably have experienced this very disturbing emotions. So jealousy and occur mainly among the people or between you and others who are almost equal or equal in possession, equal in knowledge, equal in training, and equal in status, right? So you kind of probably just say, in the broadly speaking, that you feel or generally considered equal and with someone who could be at a working place like your coworker and or anyone you know you have any form of relationship. And our jealousy can be occur because we feel that we are equal in the skill, equal in the knowledge and the status, but somehow that person gets more than you expected, or you think that he or she doesn't deserve to have that kind of a positive outcome. So at that point, when you see the outcome of that person or those people who are experiencing is not meet what you expected, but you think that's not deserved. So therefore, then you began, instead of feel happy, joy, and appreciate, and that they are now happy and they're successful, and so they are doing well, and you are experiencing something opposite. That is, you kind of feels left behind, and you feel you've been challenged and even a threat. So that very moment of the experiencing the jealousy, and by not appreciate and press, right, and fully recognize, acknowledge the other's success and fortune, and now you are experiencing misery and you are unhappy. So you're unhappy what other people are unhappy, right? You're unhappy because other people are happy, what other people feel happy about. So this sense of the unhappy about other people's success, other people's happiness, and is first of all, and you have to recognize, right? And you have to remember and recognize that when they arise, oh, that's generally usually happen between the people who are in equal status, right? So you must remember this, be careful, not let it occur, right? Because once it happens, and then you must recognize that, oh, this is jealousy. Now I'm jealous, right? That's no good. So you must adopt the antidote, the remedy, right? Remedy is what? Is rejoice. Rejoice is sincerely feel good about it, because now other people happy and they're successful, and which is a wonderful thing, which is very nice thing. So now so you congratulate them, you fully acknowledge them, right? Truly sincerely feel, oh, that's really good for them. That's nice. What a wonderful thing. So this way, see what happened is, you know, you will get given other people and the full acknowledgements, and the other people will notice that you are have been very appreciative and recognized, and so then give them how you responded, and very positively, right? And if you fail to do so, right, and adopted the remedy, which is the rejoice, right? But if you began to experience this jealousy, that's the jealousy continues of growing, then you might at the physical level express some kind of opposition or some kind of disagreement. And you may verbally express something, and or physically, and send some kind of through your body language, send send some kind of signal to that person. If you made negative comments about the person's success, you know, after the person heard what you have said about it, you know, they immediately will make it that the people who are successful, who are doing better, and will make them angry, and make them feel unhappy. In return, they will add more misery on you, cause you more miserable, probably. So therefore, when you assess the very outcome of the jealousy and the experience of the jealousy, it totally is a disaster and totally is a negative. But by contrast, when you think about the rejoicement, right, and think, oh, what a wonderful, and it's good for them, or good for him, or them, her. If you think of this way, you know, you will develop sincerely doing so, you will form a very close tie and maintain a good relationship. And furthermore, if you take their success as a good example and say, oh, you know, I can do the same, right? And and then you take their success as a good example to motivate yourself, also working, put time and working hard, and to achieve the similar and do better, and with the sincere joy and recognition. So this way, you see, you not only get this happiness of being joyful, right, and rejoice, and others, you experience joy, and then the fully recognition and acknowledgement also, and kept this relationship in a good, in a positive way. And then you yourself, meanwhile, also had this motivation and had a reason to undertaking or do something and to achieve something which is better and for you. So then you see this rejoice others' success has such a tremendous spiritual value and material value, but to jealousy, right? Being jealous about others' success is just not only make you feel miserable, also can cause others angry about why you so jealous about them. So therefore, we have to know that this is the thing and our reality. We must do something about it. That's the first thing is remember the hard. First difficulty is remember hard to remember the remedies. So we must remember the remedy. Here, I give you an example about jealousy. In fact, you can take this to the attachment desire. And here, attachment desires again is unreasonable, right? And it's kind of good. And in that sense, so you must also to try to remember what the remedy is, right? And once you apply the same logical and understanding and to apply to the desire, so when that occur, then first we'll make sure not that happening, and if that happens, and then you immediately have to remember the remedy. Once you adopt the remedy, like we said about the remedy for the jealousy is rejoicement, and the attachment is contentment, right? And you must apply that remedy of attachment or the what you call the desire, and with whatever the suitable, the appropriate antidote remedy, and then maintain, right? And to oppose and the challenges of that disturbing emotions. And so yes, you have to know that it's difficult first to apply, and secondly is oppose them. And then lastly, it is difficult to continue and to cut their continuity, meaning the negative, the mind, disturbing emotions and the continuity. So this is the three difficulties, and but I mean, whatever the way, we must to know that so our challenge is real, and we must do something about it. If we leave it alone, then we will experience the suffering anyway. So either you take it as a spiritual training or useful way and do something about it, or you leave it alone, you will see that do something about it, and there's a tremendous both material and spiritual value. If you leave it alone, treat it as some kind of a natural phenomena, and then you are the one who will continue experience the suffering, and most likely you will cause other suffering. Even you will make it you make yourself a misery at the family level within your family. Suppose if you're jealous about your siblings or your partners, right, and the success, and or your family, and your cousins, and nephews, whatever the relations you have, if you not do something about the sense of jealousy, and then you could damage your closeness or close bond and family tie between you and the other. So see, right there, there's no any good benefits to be jealousy, but I would have so much tremendous materialistic and the spiritual benefits if you sincerely rejoice others' success. So I said this is because, just like Tex say, and my experience is it isn't really true. It's hard to remember the remedy, or actually first, it's hard to recognize the disturbing emotions arise. Okay? We must pay close attention, not let it happening, not let it overtaken and arise in our mind. And or when it's about forming the force about to arise, you must right away apply the antidotes to oppose that very negative feeling. So otherwise, and personally, I know that it's very, very difficult to once it is manifested in its full forced the capacity. then it's almost hopeless to, excuse me, to cope with that. So therefore, and I often find this, like for example, the compassion, loving kindness. I have heard a lot from my lamas, my teachers, right? So I know what it is, right? But experientially, do I have experience? No, I don't, right? I just have very slim, very and weak sort of experience. And so to me, this very precious teaching of the loving kindness, compassion, is that in many cases, due to the lack of training or lack of advancement in my training, so it's merely like remained at the hearing level. So it haven't yet transformed into the actual spiritual power itself. But I do know for sure that the opposite, untrained negativities, negative emotions such as jealous and attachment, rather is very strong. It could, occur in various occasions. So I acknowledge it. So therefore, I'm from time to time, and I try my best to pay close attention, not to let those untrained, the natural sort of disturbing and emotions, not let them arise. And once they rise and above rise, I try to apply the technique of the antidotes and to oppose them. And so I guess the truth is we have all known that be honest what we are and who we are inwardly and how well we are doing, and through the honest assessment, and then we can apply to the teachings that like we have learned today or in this text, and then make changes.
Okay, yeah, I love it. Also,
That's all for today, and thank you very much.
Should I mention how education also is classes?
Yeah.
Is it for everybody or just Zoom?
Everybody.
They can come back here? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Geshe-la, Tempa, and Tenzin. If you would like to make a donation for this teaching to support the monastery, it'd be greatly appreciated. And you can do that by calling 812-336-6807, or you can email the temple at tmbcc.kcl@gmail.com. And if you would like to give a donation here in the temple, I'll pass around the begging bowl, and it would be greatly appreciated. There will be a 2:00 teaching by Geshe Gyatso here in the temple, and also via Zoom, the Bodhisattva Way of Life. Okay, thank you. The books will be here this week. Yeah, we ordered the books. And if you'd like a book, you can purchase it. The books will be here this week. Okay, thank you.
Closing prayer on page number 80.